It's time again for the Sunday Start. This is where we take something and apply a principle in order to make the most of our week. We're getting things started. You have 5 days ahead of you if you work a 5 day week, six if you work Saturdays. Between now and this next episode, to work things out, to kind of get yourself into the frame of mind of what I'm going to talk about today is being the best self that you can be. Because today I want to talk about being your best authentic self. Now, before we get started, I know that there are people that they will say, well, you want to be your best self. Just be authentic. Be authentic. Be you. Be uniquely you. Here's the problem is that some people have been taught wrong, and so they look at themselves and they're not their best authentic selves. Basically, they're presenting something to the world. These are folks that say, well, this is the way I am. Accept me as I am. Okay? Now, there's a problem with that. Is that there are some people out there that manifest the persona of a jerk, of a prick, of an asshole. That's it. But I'm here to tell you that you're not born that way. You're not born to be mean or condescending or criticizing. That's not the way you're born to be. So you have the opportunity and the ability and the authority to change that person. See, you can be your best self and not be the best thing for the situation. For example, if you, I'm a car guy and I like to talk in car metaphors. If you are a top fuel dragster, you're good at running a quarter mile at flat out speed, but you're not good at running a race course, a road course, where there are a lot of twists and turns. You're not suited for that. So you can go into the road course and you'll make a lot of noise and you'll make a lot of commotion, but you really won't do anything successful. You'll just kind of like be a bull in a china shop, and that's not really good. So we have to focus on what does it mean to be our best authentic self. Now, in real estate, there is a term called highest and best use. And this is how zoning commissions determine land use, or at least they're supposed to. Basically, a parcel of land is determined to be in the best interest of the community when it's zoned one way or the other. And that's supposed to be the highest and best use. We have to think in the same terms. What is it that makes us most valuable to society? What is it that gives us the potential to add value to society? See, the thing is that we don't all have like what you call a specific purpose. We have a range of potential, a range of things that we are capable of doing, that we have the ability to do. And everybody's different. People have different abilities based on their own, what their programming is, what their makeup is. Um, so you don't want to get, kind of hemmed up into the whole purpose thing, but just understand that you have a lot of potential. And in this potential, there are things that you can do that truly not just benefit you, but have a net benefit to society, to humanity at large. And that's where we want to be. We want to be in that sweet spot where we are adding our best abilities, our best talents, our best thoughts, our best words, our best actions to humanity. And this is how you could tell when you are operating in your best authentic self. When people say to you, hey man, hey sis, you know, whenever you show up, things are better. Whenever you say something, we're all better. Your presence in the world actually improves the world. When people say things like that to you, that's how you know you're operating in your best authentic self. Now, I've said this before that there was a time in my life when I operated in a persona that I like to call Throat Punch Derrick. And Throat Punch Derrick was a bit of a jerk. He was not a nice guy. He was a guy that would sooner argue or fight with you than anything else. But what I learned was that this gratified my ego, that it stroked my interpretation of self because I felt like I was a real badass. But the reality is that it didn't help anybody. It didn't help anyone. I mean, no one besides me. And that is when I made the conscious decision to make changes in my life. Listen, nobody is born an asshole. That is something that's cultivated. And you have the ability and the authority to change that. You're not stuck in being that way. You're not stuck in being a negative. You're not stuck in being someone who doesn't contribute to the advancement of humanity, but someone who contributes to the stagnation or even regression of humanity. No, you have the potential to change that. That's completely on you. But this is a decision that you have to make. And watch this. If we make this conscious decision that I want to do something that is going to advance the state of the art of humanity, and what must I do personally to do that? When we start asking ourselves that question, we embark upon the path toward our best authentic self. When you are operating in your best authentic self, you are rendering the greatest possible service you can to humanity. Now, understand this, that there may be something that you can do better. There may be potential that you have yet unearthed. However, in this particular moment, and remember, the only thing that you own, the only piece of time that you own is right now. So in this right now, you have the ability to contribute your very best effort, thought, word, deed to humanity. And that's where you want to be. That's the sweet spot in life. Because again, we are all going to leave this mortal realm. And when we do, there is going to be a reckoning. And I'm not talking about some eternal judgment. No, I'm talking about how humanity judges you, how your family judges you, how your friends saw you, how the community perceived you, and all of this. And basically, there is going to be a reckoning as to whether or not you were a net contributor to the world or a net detractor. And unfortunately, you are not the arbiter of that. Basically, humanity is going to judge or grade your performance. And I'm not talking about anybody should be judgmental or anything like that, because that's when you get into that you're not being your best authentic self. But what I'm saying as a whole, that humanity is going to have a view of your historical relevance, your historical contribution. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are operating as your best authentic self. And watch this, when you operate in your best authentic self, you will stay in your lane. I mean, largely, none of us run it perfectly. Sometimes we go toward the margins of the lane. But by and large, if we are operating as our best authentic selves, then we are going to stay in our lane, run our race, and finish our course. You will accomplish that which you set out to do. You will have maximized your potential and rendered to humanity your highest possible use. This is really, really, I wish someone had told me about this when I was a young man, because now I have a lot more runway behind me than I do ahead of me at 58. But still, I wish I had known this then, because I could have spent my life contributing to people's lives, contributing to the betterment of humanity, instead of being something that basically either marked time or marched in reverse. So you want to find what is your best possible, or your best authentic self. And again, the best way to do this is examine yourself in the eyes of people who see you. Now, again, don't try to live your life to please people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that people will say, hey man, life is just better because you're here. Things get better when you showed up. The atmosphere is nicer because of you. And again, when you are contributing, when people recognize that you are a force for good, that you are a positive asset. Not I remember there was a time in my life that when I showed up, people said, oh God, here we go. We're about to argue now, or we're about to fight right now. That's the way that I was. That was how I conveyed myself. I was very contentious and very judgmental. And I've cultivated something in me that I said, I no longer want to be that person. I want to be the person who people look forward to showing up, who people look forward to hearing what I have to say, and people look forward to spending time with me. And I have the same criteria for others. I'd like to be around positive people. I don't want to be around negative people. Um, and again, what determines positive or negative is not whether or not they agree with you, because again, I've said this before, that agreement is not essential to unity. We could be united and disagree on many things, but when we're united and we say that we're operating for the express purpose of advancing the state of the art of humanity, moving humanity forward, that when we're operating in that mode, then we're operating in unity. Even though we may disagree on how to get there, we're working toward that. Now, let me say this as I get ready to shut this down. That part of the problem with humanity is that we want to be right. That somehow we think that being our best authentic self will somehow tend to us being right, and that we'll own our opposition. This is one of the most detrimental things that we face in society today, that we face in this country, that we face in our religious and social institutions, in our institutions of higher education, that we want to own the opposition, that somehow we want to exert our moral authority over those who don't think like us. And that is a mistake, because when you're doing that, you're not operating in your best authentic self. You may be authentic, but it's not your best authentic self. Your best authentic self is going to find more consensus than it does contention. You're going to find more common ground than separation. And are you going to agree on every single thing? Absolutely not. But your best authentic self is going to be that self that brings out the best of humanity. That's when you know that you know that you know that you're operating in your best authentic self. And when you do that, you now become a catalyst for change, that you become part of what advances humanity, moving humanity forward instead of causing stagnation, separation, division, and regression. You don't want to be part of that. So if you are operating in your best authentic self, you are going to be an agent of positive change. That is powerful. So I hope that that's something that you could put in your toolbox and carry on through the rest of the week, that it's something that will help you. You'll think about, what can I do to be an agent of positive change? And if you do that, your week is going to be a lot better because humanity is going to be better because you're there. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to hit me up at derrickday.com. Click the link marked contact, fill out the form, and it'll send me an email, and I will respond, whether good, bad, or indifferent. And also, you can catch me on Instagram or Twitter. My handle is Derrick E. Day. It's DerrickEday. You can catch me on LinkedIn. My handle is Derrick Day. Real simple. And also on YouTube and on Facebook. YouTube, I'm Derrick Day, and on Facebook is Derrick Day Multimedia. And I'd love to hear from you. Also, please check out the Heretic Happy Hour podcast, where I share hosting duties with Katie Valentine, Keith Giles, and Matthew DiStefano, and we have a rocking good time. We drop podcasts once every 2 weeks on Tuesdays, so you don't want to miss that. Get on iTunes and subscribe. And also check out my podcast, which is the Forward Podcast, where we move humanity forward at the speed of thought. And we've got a whole lineup of really awesome guests coming up. You don't want to miss a single episode. And that's pretty much it. So tune in on Tuesday for Quantum Spirituality, and then on Friday for Phreology Friday, where I'm joined with my friend and brother Aaron Tomlinson, and we have a rocking good time there. So until the next time, love you guys, peace, namaste, and we'll talk soon.